This past week has been quite eventful for Denise Richards. She visited Aaron Phypers' home seeking her dogs, leading to a confrontation with his family and involvement of the authorities. Subsequently, her legal representative made a serious claim regarding one of Denise's dogs. Aaron immediately refuted the claim, stating that Denise's lawyer was untruthful. The narrative has since evolved. The dog did pass away, but Aaron stated it was not due to his actions. Aaron Phypers asserts Denise Richards hasn't interacted with the animals in 2 years. In an interview, Aaron made further strong accusations. He had previously claimed she had a relationship with her trainer. This latest accusation appears even more concerning. Denise hasn't interacted with the animals in 2 years and never has wanted knowledge or wanted to give her permission to any type of care for the animals, Aaron stated in response to the claims about her dog's passing. A separate source confirmed that a dog named Melanie did recently pass away. However, they clarified it was due to old age and illness. They said that suggestions of Aaron's wrongdoing in headlines are inaccurate. Melanie, a sweet elder dog who Aaron loved, had late-stage cancer and was suffering when he took her for help, as the vet insisted the few days she had left being in pain were better met with putting her to sleep and off to heaven, the source claimed. It was a painful decision. To say she was put down is hurtful. It was known that Denise and Aaron cared for many animals, including several rescue dogs, 2 pigs, a cat, and at one point, even a horse. The idea that she hasn't interacted with any of these animals in 2 years seems unusual. Regardless, this situation further complicates their separation. The air was thick with the scent of pine and something else, something distinctly Julian. It was a mix of hay, sawdust, and the wet earth of a well-loved garden. Eleanor pulled her sleek black sedan to a stop, the gravel crunching under the tires like 1,000 tiny protests. The sprawling, disorganized sanctuary she and Julian had built together now felt foreign, a fortress of a past life she could no longer access. She clutched the steering wheel, her knuckles white. She was here for Daisy. Her lawyer had made a phone call, but Julian wasn't returning it. This was the only way. The front door, a weathered slab of oak they had refinished together, was ajar. A wave of nervous energy washed over her. She pushed it open slowly, and the familiar cacophony hit her, the low hum of the refrigerator, the distant oink of a pig, and the sharp, high-pitched bark of a tiny terrier she didn't recognize. "Julian," she called out, her voice thin. He appeared from the back hallway, a paintbrush in his hand, a smear of blue paint on his cheek. He looked older, more tired than the man she had last seen 6 months ago. His easy smile was gone, replaced by a hard line. His eyes, once a warm, laughing hazel, were now chips of cold stone. "Eleanor," he said, the name a flat, lifeless sound. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here for my dogs," she said, her voice firming. "Daisy and Buster." Julian scoffed, a bitter sound. "Your dogs? Funny, I seem to recall them living here for the past 2 years without you." Before she could respond, a woman, Julian's sister, Clara, emerged from the living room, a protective hand on her son's shoulder. "Julian, who is this?" Clara's voice was tight with suspicion. The situation spiraled. Eleanor tried to explain, her words getting lost in the rising tide of hostility from Julian's family. "I just want to see my dogs," she repeated like a mantra. The sound of a cell phone dialing was the only thing that cut through the noise. It was Julian calling the police. The flashing blue and red lights painted the forest with an unnatural glow. A young officer with a kind but weary face listened to both sides. Eleanor, standing on the dewy grass, felt a profound sense of humiliation. This was not how their story was supposed to end. Julian, standing on the porch, leaned against the post, his arms crossed, a silent victor. The officer suggested they handle it through their lawyers. Eleanor left without her dogs, the weight of the moment pressing down on her chest. The next day, the accusations began. Eleanor sat across from her lawyer, a sharp, composed woman named Ms. Albright. Julian's records are incomplete, Ms. Albright said, her fingers dancing across a tablet screen. There's a significant gap in the vet bills for one of your dogs, Melanie. Melanie, Eleanor said, a pang in her stomach. Melanie was their oldest dog, a sweet, fluffy golden retriever with a permanent dusting of gray on her muzzle. What do you mean, a gap? She was euthanized 3 weeks ago, Ms. Albright stated, her voice devoid of emotion. There is no record of your consent. Eleanor's blood ran cold. The words hung in the air like a poisoned dart. Euthanized, she whispered. A cold fury began to simmer. How could he? How could Julian, the man who had cried when their hamster passed away, do something so cruel? It was a low blow, a malicious act that went beyond the bounds of a messy separation. Her lawyer released a statement to the press, a calculated, icy accusation that Julian had one of Eleanor's dogs euthanized without her permission. Julian saw the headline while scrolling through his phone. Julian Cross accused of animal cruelty in separation drama. He felt his heart stop. A hot, blinding rage shot through him, a feeling so intense it made his hands shake. He slammed the phone down on the counter. The accusation was a complete and utter lie. A twisting of truth so vile it took his breath away. The pain of losing Melanie, the agonizing decision, was now being used as a weapon against him. He immediately called a journalist he knew. This lie, this vicious lie, could not stand. I need to set the record straight, he said, his voice raw. Eleanor's lawyer is saying you euthanized Melanie without her permission, the journalist said, her voice a careful, neutral tone. They're framing it as an act of spite. Julian took a deep breath. It's a lie, he said, his voice trembling with emotion. It's a flat-out lie. The truth is, Melanie had late-stage cancer. The vet said she was in pain, that she had maybe a few days left. He said the most humane thing to do was to let her go. It was the hardest decision of my life. His voice cracked, the memory still fresh and painful. To say I did it out of spite, to say I put her down like that, it's just a different kind of cruelty. He paused, gathering his thoughts. And another thing, he continued, the words spilling out of him now, a dam breaking. Eleanor hasn't been here, not once in 2 years. She hasn't called to check on the animals. She hasn't asked about their vet appointments or their food or anything. She hasn't interacted with them in 2 years, and she never wanted to give her permission to any type of care for them. I was the one who was here, day in and day out, with all of them. Julian's words echoed in the digital space, clashing with Eleanor's lawyer's accusation. A separate source, a vet technician who had been present, anonymously confirmed the story. Melanie, a sweet elder dog who Julian loved, had late-stage cancer and was suffering when he took her for help, the source told reporters. The vet insisted the few days she had left being in pain were better met with putting her to sleep and off to heaven. It was a painful decision. To say she was put down is hurtful. Julian sat on the back porch, staring out at the rolling fields, the home he and Eleanor had built as a refuge for creatures of all kinds. The past 2 years had been a slow, agonizing process of erasure. It started with her clothes disappearing from the closet, then her framed photographs from the walls, then her scent from the pillows. Now, all that was left was the animals, the living, breathing testament to a life they had shared, now tended to only by him. He was a single father to a small menagerie, Daisy and Buster, 2 rescue dogs he had found with Eleanor, a trio of pigs named Barnaby, Charlotte, and Winston, a fat, ginger cat named Mr. Whiskers, and the regal, retired show horse, Zephyr. He remembered the day they found Zephyr, a beautiful but neglected gelding, and Eleanor's eyes had lit up with a fire he hadn't seen before. They spent an entire year rehabilitating the horse, Eleanor spending hours brushing his coat, talking to him in a soft, soothing voice. She had been there for all of them. She was the one who insisted on adopting Barnaby, the runt pig with a heart of gold. She was the one who had spent hours at the shelter, looking for the perfect companion for their first dog, only to come home with two. He had always loved her for that, for her fierce, unyielding love for creatures great and small. It was the foundation of their life together. So how could it all have come to this? How could a woman who had once nursed a sick bird back to health and spent a small fortune on custom-made blankets for the pigs now be so utterly detached? He picked up his phone and opened his photos. He scrolled back through the years until he found a picture of Eleanor and Melanie taken on a sunny day in the yard. Eleanor was laughing, her head thrown back, as Melanie licked her cheek. It was a perfect moment, a tiny slice of their shared happiness. The memory was so vivid it hurt. He felt a profound sense of sadness. The accusations and counter-accusations felt petty now, a bitter sideshow to the real tragedy. The death of a beautiful life they had built together, and the death of a beloved dog who deserved a more peaceful end to her story.